October 19th, 2020 meeting. We do have some people who aren't going to be here tonight. Trustee Christina can't make it. Our street superintendent, Tony Cugino, he's on vacation. And our attorney, Dan Gard, is ill, said he could not make it. So I'd like to start our agenda out with Travis Gordon real quick. Not real quick, but start him out first to give us an update on the projects that he's working on with us. Hi, Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will try to make it real quick because I do know that there is some sporting event happening right now that we probably all are paying attention to, whether we like it or not. So getting into it real quick, as many of you have probably noticed already, the park is very near completion. We have made many of the changes that have been asked, and the benches are looking very good in my opinion. The trash cans were installed this past week. The bollards that have the hooks to attach movable furniture have had the hooks attached to them. So we're looking really good on the inside of the park, and we should have that project wrapped up very soon here. Last week, Joy Keebler and I had a walkthrough with Scott Lawnyard where we discussed the various different things that we wanted to have addressed in the park. Just 99% of the project complete, just the last 1% where we're polishing things up and making sure things like the epoxy that holds the gravel in around some of the trees is installed properly, and some of the concrete is poured properly and things like that. But in general, that project is looking very close to being complete, and we're very happy about that. Did want to quickly speak to you all about the clock and the, oh, go ahead. I'd like to know where you were talking. I actually could not find that. Which side of the park was that on? Yeah, the timeline has been pretty consistent here. I will definitely check in on that. We have one more walkthrough with Joy Keebler before we finish our checklist and sign off on the project. So west side of the park between walking from the fountain toward Main and Water Street. Because yeah, we looked for that and we couldn't find a spot where that was happening, but I'm sure it is. We just want to make sure we get that right. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. They did have an arborist who came in and trimmed the lower part of the trees. I'm not sure if part of their scope was to trim the upper portion as well. I can check with Joy on that. But they did have some tree pruning as part of the grant that they have done already. Sure. Couple things with this project. So obviously most of the funding came from New York State Parks. We do have a small $12,000 grant from Empire State Development that works in a similar way to our Smart Growth grants. So it's a lengthier process to actually obtain the funding, but we do have that secured. And I was talking with Joy Keebler about how we would use that $12,000 effectively. And we believe that it could be used by purchasing a new cherub, just like one shot using that for the cherub, because we do have a little bit of extra money for doing things like painting the fountains and things like that. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Pretty.
So a couple of the other items that we talked about previously, I'm not sure if the visuals of the clock got circulated or not. But we did a little walk around and tried to find the most appropriate location for the clock. And it seems like we had discussed moving the clock from one side of Temple Street to the other side of Main and Temple. And it would be shaded out by an existing tree there, and it might have the same problems that a clock on the other side of the street would have with possible traffic signaling devices and things like that there. We did put together a rendering of what the clock could look like if it's on the opposite side of Main Street. So if it's on the side with Water Street. I'm not sure if the trustees have had a chance to look at that rendering or not. Okay.
Travis, on that there, I did get the contact information from the people that put that up there, the Timcos, and I will be forwarding and having some conversation with Mrs. Timko on this as well.
Great. We weren't sure if it had to be in the park or if it could be across the street, but it looks like it would fit more with the streetscape on the other side of the street. You'd be able to see it from your car and things like that, rather than it being covered by trees and things like that. So it was just something that we wanted to kind of take a look at. The other thing was the Jen Sir monument. We haven't had, we're still working on figuring out if that is going to be placed in the existing location or moved. I'm not sure if you've had, we haven't been able to put together a survey of where the actual right of way is, but it certainly sounds like it would be easiest to put the monument where it is existing. We can explore the option of moving it to the new location, but I'm not sure if that's still in the works to be placed in the new location or not. I see. Okay. Right. I can check in with New York State Parks and Recreation, or the State Historic Preservation Office, which is part of New York State Parks, to see if that is a possibility. It shouldn't be an issue because the existing one was put in, I want to say it has a marker for 2009. It's not that long ago. And if that one is at a certain depth into the park, one would logically think that line we should be able to move it to the other side without too much trouble. But I can check in with them to see if they have any thoughts on that. So other than that, oh, my apologies. Sure. You're stopped at the stoplight. You know, it's not quite in the center.
Anybody have any other questions or concerns for Travis tonight?
I do have some other updates for the Opera House, in case anybody's curious. So the Opera House project is continuing. We have a timeline of, it looks like at the end of the year in mid to late December, they should be subcontractor. Chugging right along. We're happy to see that it is back on track and should be completed by the end of the year. The streetscape project, which is also part of that Empire State Development Grant, is on hold at the moment. That is something that we would like to, we're hoping to be able to have the funding in from Empire State Development into Fredonia's bank account in order to get that project back started by mid to late November. And the reason for that timeline is because we don't want to miss out on the bidding window for 2021. If we have to wait longer than that, we might have to talk about the project actually being put out to bid in 2022, which is obviously not ideal, but we don't want to move forward without actually having funding to do the project. Where we are on that project. Yeah, those are kind of the two halves of that, two sides of that coin.
Travis, did the timeline for the Opera House project, there was a 20-day period there where work was stopped. Timeline get pushed back 20 days, or did it stay on track?
Correct. It got pushed back about 20 days. They're moving right along. They had several changes that they ended up having to address. There were some structural issues, and there was a address, but that didn't impact the timeline. The putting the project on hold put the project impacted the timeline, but ever so slightly. It didn't actually impact the cost of the project, which is a good thing. But the timeline was shifted about 20 days, and the Opera House has been made aware of those changes and has shifted its schedule appropriately.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions on that project or the streetscape project? You have anything else, Travis, for us tonight?
Just real quick, while I have you guys, I did discuss the Main Street Studio project, the CART-C building. Did a walkthrough with the building owner over there. As I mentioned at the previous meeting, they are interested in possibly renting or using the village's screen for possible outdoor movie events sort of thing. And they wanted to get a little bit of information about that, and I can talk to the Parks Department about that. But they did have, I asked them about the location that they had thought would be appropriate for the screen. And they have been given permission by the Grange to use that back space behind the Grange. It's a fairly sizable space where and that's the neighbor of the building. So they have that as an option, and they have a possibility of using just a small slice of the parking lot on the other side of the building. So they have two options on that. I think it's kind of an interesting idea. I know just this week, the governor has given the green light for movie theaters to reopen at 25% capacity, but this could be kind of an interesting thing for Fredonia to participate in. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that we are kind of looking at those potential options. But that's kind of all I have on that. That project is moving forward fairly smoothly. They are asking for yet another extension simply because the materials that they are ordering have been delayed. The pouring concrete and things like that is, everything, the timelines have all shifted. So they are requesting an extension, but that building is looking beautiful.
Yes, and Travis, I did forward a letter to the state asking for that extension on behalf of Ed Sharon's project. And I think the delay on the concrete was because of the windmills have contracted all the concrete from all the concrete producing companies around, and it's hard to clear the concrete.
Absolutely, there are a lot of delays, but that's also what I was, the impression I was given, that the windows were part of that delay, but among other things. But that project is still moving forward. Yeah, so I will, if it's okay, I will speak to whoever is in charge of the screen and get some more details for you all on that.
Okay, thank you.
And that is all I have.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody have any more questions for Travis before he goes and watches the Bills?
Nope. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye. We'll move on to resolutions. I asked Mike Manning from Rambo and Jeff Smith, who assists us on financing here, to answer any questions we have. And I'd like to go to resolution number 5, resolution approving the change order 2A-1 general for the water system improvement. This was a change order to include the 2 extra filter beds that the county health department made us change, and the 24-inch water main exiting the clear well, and the 2 12-inch water mains that, especially the 24-inch that was exposed and needs to have work done to it, and the roadway. And if anybody has any questions here, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jeff, for here tonight. Does anybody have any questions on this resolution here that these gentlemen can help us answer?
The only thing it mentions is the replacing the filter media for filters 2 and 3.
Nothing to do, yeah, there's no price on the pipe that you're talking about.
Okay, I thought I forwarded everybody the information on the project costs here. Anne-Marie, did I have you forward it to everybody? Everybody should.
It's in their packet,
We
everything that I have.
We have it, but my question is, it's not part of the resolution. So what are we approving?
Well, we may need to amend that then, because I wrote it, so.
And it also, your resolution, as stated, is asking for an increase in the timeline. And I believe that that would be a separate resolution, because it's not an additional work that had been done, but it's a change to the original contract. The original contract was a 335-day contract, and along with that was a timeline that if there was not a substantial completion, would be penalties for going beyond that date, which this is going beyond that date. So I would think that there's going to have to be some type of separate. This is not included in the work of materials or anything like that. This is a change of the original contract. And then,
Mike, might you speak on I know the reason, but if you'd like to clarify that as well, the reason because of the timeline being changed.
That was a call-in, Jim.
Yeah,
That was a call-in answer.
The appropriate time to jump in here. So there are actually two contractor change orders that we are requesting the village to authorize. Excuse me. The first one is the removal and replacement of filters number 2 and 3 media. This is in response to the boil water order condition. And that value is, actually that's been updated slightly based on some revised information we got from the contractor regarding their overhead costs. And so I can give you that number right now. So that overall value would be 51,652. That would be $55,093. So that would be a change order 2A-1 to Candy Corporation, or Candy Company, I should state. And then the other change order we are requesting approval for is replacement of the Vineyard Drive pump station soft starters with variable frequency drives to improve operation and emergency connection of the city of Dunkirk. And that is Alstrom Schaefer cost proposal dated 10/5/2020. That's actually, that price has been updated from $15,725 to $15,845. And that would be change order change order 2B-1 to Alstom Schaefer. Excuse me, the reason for that change is that would allow for varying the flow from the city of Dunkirk into the village system during emergency connections, and to make sure that there's no change or no disruption of service to the city of Dunkirk during that process. And so this is determined to be something that's necessary and a real benefit to the system. We had originally thought that was going to be closer to a $50,000 item. So we were very pleasantly surprised to see the contractor come in with a solution that's much cheaper than what we anticipated. So, excuse me. So the rest of these items on the sheet in front of you, I guess I'll back up a little bit here. Jeff, please jump in if you need to here. As these things were occurring, the Department of Health brought to our attention that the boil water condition will help the village to procure emergency funding quicker, rather than the village paying for these things out of pocket. It opens up some doors to procure emergency funding to fund these items. So once this step was brought forth, it kind of brought forth the concept of there's some other items that the Department of Health wanted put into this project, but it wasn't appropriate at the time. And if you guys remember back about a year or so ago, we were talking about a future project to upgrade the site work at the water treatment plant, repair the failing culverts on the road going into the water treatment plant, and to protect the piping. There's two series of pipes at the plant that are exposed right now. The first is the raw water piping coming in from the reservoir to the plant. It's exposed in two locations. And then also the finished water leaving the clear well is exposed. And that's what the mayor was mentioning earlier. These items were scheduled to be included in a future project with a value of about $500,000. And today, given the pandemic and what's going on within the state of New York, funding-wise, the grants have been postponed for this year, so we weren't able to move this project forward in 2020. So given the fact that there's some emergency funding available, and the environment is right to get that funding, we wanted to bring forth to the village the possibility of putting these components into this project under the emergency funding scenario, keeping in mind that these are required by the Department of Health, and you would have their support to move these items forward under emergency funding. So the summary put forth in front of you now, which now has a revised bottom total of $598,138, is the summary of all these ideas, all these concepts and funding and project components to move into the project. None of this is approved by anybody yet, and we as Ramble have not provided a proposal, so we're not asking you to approve any contract from us yet. But if this were to move forward, we would provide a proposal to help the village move these projects forward, complete the engineering, the design engineering, the construction engineering included with these items. And then also, that would bring forth, so the concept is, the other side of this is on the construction side, we would advocate that the village have Candy Company do this work as change order, and then we would facilitate that process. And if we do it through a change order, that would happen, we'd be able to make it happen quicker and more efficiently, again, under the auspice of emergency funding. The other thing I'd like to bring up, not to burden you with more information here, but I heard earlier a question about the contract duration. The contract for Candy was originally scheduled to be completed in the winter, and the village had requested that we move forward the replacement of the clarifier components until the spring, after the snow had melted and access to the water treatment plant would be safer. So the status right now is, as of within a couple weeks, all work will be done at the water treatment plant, Webster Road, and Vineyard Drive pump station, with the exception of the clarifier work. And the two contractors will take a break for the winter and be back in the spring to complete that work, so beginning sometime around April 1st. So before long, we will put forward a request to the village to extend Candy and Dahlstrom Schaefer's contract to support that change. Again, there will be no cost change order to do this work. It's simply extending the contract duration with no penalty to the contractors to do so.
Okay, I need to clarify a few things here because
Sure.
originally, the original contract was for two different two different filter beds, because the previous ones were only 3 years old, had been changed.
5 years old.
They did them during the time of Landis was here, so it was not 5 years old.
According to the documentation I got.
Well, they did it when Landis was here, so it couldn't have been 5 years. So anyhow, if the ones that needed to be changed were changed early on in the springtime, when they were requested to start the project, and the project indicated that the filter beds, according to the contract as I read here, were not reliant on the Vineyard Drive to be operational in order to change those filter beds. If you would have then had 4 filter beds in really good condition, 2 brand new and 2 only a few years old. And then at the same time, knowing that there was the possibility of algae blooming, that they would have moved the intake to the lower intake. None of this additional work would have had happened. And you could have gotten to the clarifiers early on. Now, there's a contract that states that we passed that they were supposed to start in effect on February 24th. It would commence on February 24th. On that date, the contractor shall start performing its obligations under the contract documents. No work shall be done at the site prior to such date in accordance with this agreement. The number of days to achieve substantial completion is 335 days. And the number of days to achieve readiness for final payment is 365 days. Now, the penalties associated with this are set so that to hold people to the contracts. So I don't understand is what led this up to was the not completing the filter beds in a timely manner, and then having an emergency that costs the community not only a large amount of money, but also a major inconvenience. And then now, the substantial work was discussed to begin in August, and then scheduled to start in September, putting that contract off. And now we're being asked to delay it even further into the springtime without any penalties. I find that to be a very unjust contract in dealings with this project. I think that we should hold the contractor to the original agreement. I don't know where this idea of possibly this board did not agree to change the contract ahead of time when you said that the village asked for a delay. Whether it came from who, it doesn't really matter because there's a contract in place.
It came,
Wait a minute, please. So there's no,
Got it.
no indication of whether we will or will not get funding due to this, the now emergency declaration. You might not get some money. They're asking us to now put some more contracts in their hands for further work that may or may not get completed in a timely manner. Possibly get up to $500,000, maybe, in state aid, maybe. So I feel that the villages do what they're due. If they want to hold off and do the project later, well, then they should pay the village the amount of penalties. And they should, because they agreed to a contract. I don't know what else transpired, but along the way, but I know the timeline of what was before me. I have the emails and contracts to prove all that. So, like I said, we're looking at of course, apparently you did do the work for the extra beds, so somebody has to pay for that. The materials and work that was done on those, to do those again for some reason. That, like I said, they weren't done that long ago, but then because of the incident that happened, the health department then later made us mandate that those beds be changed. They may not have had to been changed so soon if the original two, the ones that were 17 years old, had been changed when they were supposed to, early in the project, when it was a safe time to do it. So, like I said, we also, so now that in here, when I saw the change order, I see at the very top, there was one line added in there for the 150-day addition, in addition to all these other costs. So I feel this one resolution does not fairly represent what we're being asked to do here.
Well,
Thank you.
Are you through, Jim?
Yes, I am, thank
Trustee
you.
Linden?
I am, thank you.
Thank you. Mike and Jeff, I think you could address this. If you do not want to, I can address it, but I think, Mike, if you address the timelines, I think all the timelines were met. And the situation with the clarifiers and the pumping station are totally different than the situation with like, everybody, please.
Yes, while we're talking here, I'm going to grab the construction schedule here and just make sure I'm correct on the dates. And
I have the construction schedule in front of me. At the meeting of apparently from May must be nothing that says that no comments were received, so apparently not much happened prior to May. There might have been some small work done, but it was not much of anything from February to May. This is essential service. This is not something that that should have been kicked down the road for maybe because somebody else's work was getting done. But the village had the contract to start in February. And if those beds would have been dealt with, we wouldn't have, my guess is they would have been able to handle the algae issue without any problem, as they always have before.
Mike, if you, Mike.
No, I understand. Yeah, I guess I understand your question, your thought process here. Keep in mind that all this equipment is custom made, but okay, the filter bed media is not custom made. That's right. That's right. Product you order and have delivered. Everything else though is custom made, built for the project. So the pumps in the Vineyard Drive pump station were specifically manufactured for that pump station. They have a delivery time of several months. Once the submittals are prepared and approved, and so they were delivered on schedule. That work was done in the summertime, and keep in mind that the contract did require that no major work could take place at the water treatment plant until the Vineyard Drive pump station was ready for operation. So
For the clarifiers, had nothing to do with the filter beds. According to the contract, it says it has nothing to do with the filter beds. The Vineyard Drive pump station.
okay,
It states that right here.
so if you don't mind, I want to get back to
Okay.
my team
Sure.
and find out the exact decision that was made regarding schedule of the filter bed work. I do know for a fact that some things in this world have been delayed due to COVID. And it's not as easy to get materials as quickly as possible. I mean, we were just a few minutes ago, you were all talking about not able to, the inability to get concrete. Concrete is something that's produced locally on demand, and that's at a premium right now. So I'll get back to you on that question on why the filter beds were completed when they were. The beauty is that you now have, the reality is you now have 4 filter beds that are identical, and they're new. And this goes beyond, keep in mind that this goes beyond just replacing the filter media, because the filter media is just part of it. The other part of it is you also have to replace the distribution arms on top of the filter media that are there to augment how the filter media is cleaned
Right.
and
the scrubbing
to
system.
enhance the cleaning process. So those are custom-made products that had to be delivered to the site and installed concurrent with the filter media. And then the other part of it is on the downside, the backside, the piping downside of the filters has all been modified and replaced substantially. And through this process, we determined that there were some issues with the piping that were unknown to everybody at the time that contributed to the problems with the turbidity in the water. So that had to be corrected as well through this process. So, at the end of the day, there are 4 new filters that are working well. The piping is all modified, or will be within a couple weeks, and the system will be up and running.
And the filter beds, because of during that time of emergency, the filter beds were all 4 were changed. And what was the length of time it took to change the filter beds? What made it matter within 2 weeks?
It's a quick
2
process, but
So-
there's also a testing process after that.
Okay,
You
testing,
can't
so the
replace it.
changing.
Jim, Trustee Linden, please let him finish. You didn't want to be interrupted. Please let Mr. Manning finish.
Thank you.
So the replacement is, it's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to comment to the exact number of days, but you're correct. It takes a few days to replace the filter media. When they did the beds 2 and 3, that was done over, I think, a 3 or 4 day period. So it can happen fast. Keep in mind that there's also the mixing components and then the downstream piping that has to be done. And when you do replace the filter media, it has to be chlorinated and it has to be tested. And that takes up to a week or 2 for all that process to be completed correctly.
So, Mr. Mike,
So,
the delay with the clarifiers was because in order to replace a clarifier, you had to have redundant water source, and that would have been and that will be from our Vineyard Drive pumping station. So that had to be in operation. So when that was delayed, and you will find out the reasons for whatever reasons was delayed, our water treatment chief operator, Chris Surma, right now made the decision, we can't start that project because you have to tear down an entire wall to get that portion of that machinery out of the building. So you can't do that work during the winter time. So that created a delay there where you can't do it during the winter time, and it had to be done after the winter is over. So that is the reasoning behind the clarifiers not being done when they were supposed to, and they need to be done later on here.
Just as a point of clarification for me, please. We're dealing with this one resolution that's on tonight. And the resolution that's on the agenda for this evening seems to be, as Jim pointed out originally, this is one resolution that of three, I think, that probably need to take place. From what Mr. Manning said, there's one for Alstrom Schaefer that needs to take place. And there's also one for the timeline, which needs to take place. But this one that's in front of us this evening for $55,093, this is for work that's already been done, whether it, regardless of how long ago it had to be done or was done. So this is what's in front of us. This is something we can act on tonight because the work's already been done. And the other two resolutions regarding Alstrom Schaefer and the timeline could be addressed at another meeting. Is that correct?
The Alstrom Schaefer change order for 15,845. That equipment has been purchased and work will be completed within 2 weeks. So
Okay.
That's something that we'd like to see addressed quickly as well.
Yes, but unfortunately, we don't have a resolution for that this evening.
And unfortunately, Eva Dawn, the resolution states one thing, but the change order that's before us includes those things that you said we need to separate. So
Actually, when you read the resolution, it doesn't.
it's right at the top.
No.
The resolution
The
says,
resolution says,
but the change order, it's reflect.
but I'm talking about the resolution.
Yeah, but
The resolution only addresses.
Order, please, Jim, order.
The resolution addresses only one of the issues, and that's the payment to Candy Company.
Right, for $55,000.
For $55,093. There needs to be two additional resolutions.
But do we have a change order? I understand what you're saying, it's for
Yes.
that amount of money, that for
Right.
the work that had been done. And I agree that somebody's got to pay for that, like I said.
Well, and it's a change order that's requested for labor, equipment, and materials and it specifies that, but there are other entities to that change order. And they aren't
Right.
in this resolution, and they need to be in separate resolutions.
Correct.
So my question is, can we act on this resolution? And I think we have to have a special meeting sometime in the very near future. Have those
Yes.
resolutions at the next meeting.
A change order in the amount of.
Is it possible to do that?
That's I would say we should do. Yes, correct.
We don't have an attorney here to verify any of this. I'm very reluctant to pass a resolution that doesn't identify the change order for the amount of money that's being requested. That's what's always asked upon us, where's the change order? You guys have asked us all the time, where the hell's the change order?
It's right here.
Yeah, but it's not, but it doesn't indicate.
They spell out everything. They give the names of the guys that worked. How much more information do you need?
But the resolution is not, what we're passing is not, does not,
You're looking at a totally separate page that
Yes.
lists everything they're considering for the future.
yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay,
Okay.
so I guess the question
Change
is, with
order.
this particular resolution,
2A1.
I think we understand
Perfect.
what is involved with the change order and why. But is this something we can act on tonight? Or shall we table this resolution and make all the resolutions available at our next meeting?
And by the way, trustees and Mr. Manning and Mr. Smith, I was going to request, we have some other resolutions that needed to be taken care of. So I was going to request a special meeting next Monday. So if next Monday would work for you, straighten this out and get it squared away for next Monday. That work, Mike?
Yes, I can
Can
do
it be
that.
one resolution then, or does it have
Let's
to be
just table.
three?
Let's
Yeah.
table. Now Kara's here. She's got a
We'll
chance to
table,
go over.
we can table this and we'll add the other two resolutions on to the next meeting to address the other two items
that
that
okay,
were
Jim?
discussed.
Jim,
I'm
is that
sorry?
okay?
Table it, sure.
I think our other goal tonight was to get a consensus from the board of if these items that we're bringing up as additional items were something you wanted to pursue. And then what we would do is arrange a conference call between now and your next board meeting with EFC to talk about, first of all, can the scope of the project you have now be expanded in order to allow these items? And if not, do we have to go back into competition? And how would we score? And talk to them about that. And also talk about if they will allow it, but there's not room in the current budget, can we do an emergency loan application? Now, an emergency loan, the village has used that with that water line break. So basically, it's a 0% interest loan for a year and can be renewed for easily another year if you have to, while you go out and secure financing from other sources during that time. But you don't have to have adopted bond resolutions, you don't have to have seeker and all of that done. So you can get these repairs, which the county health department feels are necessary. And one of the people we would have on that phone call is Paul Johnson from the health department. And he'll be lobbying on the village's behalf, but we didn't want to get too far over our skis without knowing some input from the board.
Jeff, do we have a ballpark figure of what that additional work would run?
Mike was putting, I haven't seen, you seen that estimate, Mike, yet? I know it's being worked on.
Project. Yeah, Jim, I'm sorry I didn't include you in that email, but we gave a high end of 600,000, and that includes the two change orders we're talking about tonight.
Includes those.
It includes the filter beds and the variable speed drive, variable frequency drives, yep. I think we should have the conversation with EFC or whoever to see if there's the possibility of getting the grant money or additional funds to do this, because like you say, the county, these are not new items. The county has talked about these problems for quite a while.
I would like to address them once and for all. If this is the time and emergency funding or low interest rates are available, then this may be the time to do that. Yeah, but, and so Jeff, how do we move forward with that? We express interest in getting information, and what's the next step?
The next step would be if the board feels that, these are reasonable projects, we would try to get a conference call arranged with EFC. I'm hoping by the end of this week, and we could get a sense from them. My first goal would be to try to get your existing project, as much of this under existing project as we can. And then if they agree to that, and I'm not sure where the project budget is and if contingency and what the status of that is, but we would then go for the emergency loan, which would give us time to get this work done. And then they would update their intended use plan. And before we go into long-term closing, we would get that, your financing package amended. Or if they're telling us that, well, I don't know if we can expand the scope, I'm concerned about adding anything off I think inside the plant, we could probably get your existing project expanded. When we start going on the grounds, that's going to be a question. Yeah. And then we would get some indication, though, how they feel you would score on those other merits. And I think with the health department there, it'll be our best shot. And then we can come back to you and say, well, this is what we've learned. And then we feel that we can get this and this under the existing project. The other, we're not sure. And they gave us this input on what the scoring may look like. So I think we'll have better information at your next board meeting. But like I said, I just wanted to get a sense of the board so that we weren't getting ahead of ourselves.
And who would anyone from the village need to be present in that teleconference with EFC or, is that right, EFC?
Yes, EFC.
And
Yep.
who would you need present for that?
We definitely need the mayor and probably Alyssa, the engineers, county health department, and then, any board member, they like to have input from the elected officials. So if there's anyone that's would like to be invited to that and participate, by all means, we could do that also.
If I'm available, I'd be happy to attend or be part of that.
Okay.
So,
Sure, you're in the loop, as far as the, correspondence back and forth.
Yes.
so we can get that set up then, Jeff, and see where we go from there?
Yes, EFC's been very good in getting back, very quickly. They've been very responsive, so that's why I have the hopes by Friday we could get that conference call.
I say, are we all on board with that?
Oh, I think it's worth investigating.
Yeah, certainly worth investigating.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Mike, any other questions for Mike or Jeff?
Yeah, I have a question for Mike. On the Alstrom Schaefer bid, I'm looking at field order number 2B03. So for those variable frequency drives, which is to control the flow from Dunkirk to us to Dunkirk, it's total cost of $15,845, which actually I'm happy about because when I had a meeting with Chris and Tony probably a month ago, I think you guys are estimating it'd be about 30,000, so that's good. That second, under description, that second paragraph, explain that. It says, general conditions for a total of $9,845, the balance of cost $6,000 to be paid by change order. So are we increasing this project by $9,845 and we're taking $6,000 out of contingency? Or what's that saying?
Well, what we would propose to do is to have an outright change order of $15,845, and then that would leave $9,000 in the contingency account for their contract. That would, roughly $9,000, that may or may not be utilized for the rest of the contract. But we want to make sure there's something within the contingency account, so if we had to come back later and do some cleanup work at the plant when the clarifiers were under construction, then we'd have something to work with there.
So we're leaving $6,000 in contingency and we got to come up with the $6,000. Is that what you're saying? Did I understand you right?
What we are proposing to do is to increase their contract amount by $15,845.
Right.
And then not change the contingency account is what it is. So whatever is left in it today, without doing the VFD work, would remain to be utilized down the road.
So you don't want to use any of the contingency money towards what the change order is requesting. So you want.
Exactly. So we want to leave some for contingency down the road.
And that leaves us over $9,000 in contingency.
9,800.
Right, almost $10,000 in contingency. And is that beyond what we normally have, or is that, why so much, I guess?
That's what we put in originally.
That is what we put in originally, and that's money that we wouldn't have to pay them, or they would reimburse us, or what? How's that work?
Is it
If
because,
it's not used, it'll come out of the contract at the end of the project.
Right.
but because one of the biggest parts is still coming, the change of those, out of those clarifiers, I'm assuming that's why you want to keep a nice chunk of money there
And
in
that-
case there's any unforeseen problems?
That's correct. Yes.
And so we've already had a number of unforeseen problems, and now we're gonna fund even more unforeseen problems in advance.
Well, you have a contingency.
Usually there's a
Yeah, usually
contingency to
is
some
one.
degree.
Is Chris Surma on?
I do not see him on.
Okay.
I do not.
Is Erlissa on?
Yes, I'm on.
Erlissa, I know you haven't seen any figures or anything, but What is your thought about borrowing money to get this done?
I think with the rates so low that if it should be done,
Yeah, I
we need to do, I mean, why put ourselves in another position where we have more issues? Why not get it fixed right now?
Yep, okay. Okay, good.
Any other questions for Jeff or Mike?
Just said if we table this for another week, is that gonna cause any problem, or are we okay?
We're okay. I mean, we've already given the contractors directive to do their work.
Okay.
I think I noted earlier that the VFDs are in order. They'll be delivered on the 26th, so next Monday. And installation will take place next week.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike and Jeff, for coming to our meeting tonight. I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Okay, we'll go to the resolutions. Number one, resolution approving a bid from William Koch for fountain repair.
Coke.
Okay.
Cook.
Or Cook.
Coke. Coke.
Coke. Okay, Coke. Is there any questions or comments on that, Roger?
Just, I don't know if this needs to be in the resolution. It's in his contract, but let me find my paperwork here. So we have down, Mr. Koch needs a third of the total amount, or $11,666 to start the project. Then basically he's asking for another third, $11,666, approved to cut model, which basically what that'll entail, I've already talked with Professor Bob Booth. He's willing to take a ride up to Buffalo with me when the artist has the sculpture made. And Bob will, I basically asked him if we could rely on his expertise to okay the sculpture before they make the molds and do the casting and all that. So obviously, at that point, and Bob was telling me some stories on, you know, the 2 times he refurbished the fountains, he had to go back and change the models a little bit. So I think, just so you know, that's what that's talking about. So we'll approve the clay model, and then a third of it at completion. Now, the only question I have, we have down a third, or 11,666 for completed sculpture. His bid also included installation. Do we need to state that, or because it's on there, are we okay? Should say for completed sculpture and installation, or because that's on his bid, are we okay then? And along with that, on his bid, he also offered to repair the arm on that one statue for free if Bob can come up with the, Bob Booth can come up with the mold that he made to do one before.
Is that on his bid?
That's on his bid too.
I
So
would
again,
say
I'm not,
It's all good.
I'm new with this, I'm not sure.
It's all good because
Yeah.
you said right in there, you provided the design, repair, and cost of
Okay.
the total project, so.
Okay, just
And
checking.
I had a question. Travis happened to mention that there was $12,000 or something that they'd be willing to put towards a cherub. Are we talking about paying for the deductible that we would be responsible for?
I would assume.
That monies would be available? I'm sorry, I should have asked Travis when he was on, but
As I recall, there was a, I thought we were
We have
told
a
there was a $10,000
we do.
deductible.
we do.
So if we could use that, and then maybe, I don't know if the money could be used for cameras.
Yeah.
Maybe we could use part of it for that too.
Good, okay. So can we
Well,
check?
I
Yeah.
can email or call Travis tomorrow, or even this evening here.
Well,
Maybe I'll try calling him tomorrow.
he mentioned it, so I'm assuming that we were talking about the deductible portion.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay.
And just, so you know, I've had a couple conversations with Mr. Koch. He's eager to get started on this. I told him hopefully it would be passed today,
Yeah.
and I'll call him tomorrow.
Great.
His timeline too is probably late spring to have it installed. Late spring, early summer, so that's perfect.
Good deal.
Thank you, Roger. Okay, we'll move on to resolution approving a day after Thanksgiving off for Village Hall employees. Any comments? Resolution approving abstracts 533 and 546. Any questions, any comments on that? All the abstracts are in the clerk's office, correct?
Correct, yes.
and they can be viewed or copied or whatever at any time. So all the specs are there. Resolution approving Empty Bowls fundraising event for November 14th, 2020. I have some questions on that. Originally I saw the location of the event. It didn't make any sense to use the parking spaces that were up towards the backs of the businesses on Main Street. We have the back parking lot there, the 24-hour parking lot that's towards Eagle Street and back towards the mudslinging parking lot business, mudslingers business there, to maybe utilize that instead. So if there's any comments or questions on that, I'd like to hear those now.
Were they asking for a specific area? Did they want it up there because of the businesses, or?
It looks like they sanctioned off parking spots that don't make sense. So
Yeah, I
it's
saw
on,
that
you guys
picture.
all have a copy of the map in your packet.
I assume this is the 24-hour spot.
I thought it was too, but it's not correct. Their map is incorrect. The mayor and I figured that out.
Well,
Yeah.
the resolution does say that it's at the direction of the police chief or the police force. And I'm assuming that, because I saw that too, I looked at that map and thought, oh, okay. Is it possible to just leave it with the police department? I know that they're going to be putting up, barriers and stuff.
Hey, Phil, Chief Maslock, you concur about using that rear parking lot more so than the parking lot behind the businesses, so that the business still utilize those for their businesses when they're open on that date?
I believe the flow of traffic would be a lot better if they use that back portion. I haven't seen any paperwork on what they requested, but I don't really see any difference in using the back portion as compared to that up front behind the businesses where people would be parking.
Was it visibility? I don't know.
Looking at this map, isn't the far left side the far south side of that parking lot? And the main driveway through that parking lot would be to the right of that other section?
Well, Trustee Pecos, if you look at the north, south, east, west thing there,
That's
correct
wrong.
somewhat?
I think east
Yeah,
and west,
so-
I think the only problem is east is actually west and west is actually east.
Yeah, so, I mean, I believe they wanted to originally use the upper portion right behind the businesses there, but it's up to you guys. I thought maybe the back portion there that was just repaved last year might be a better option, but want to give me your thoughts, that would be fine.
And it's only a one-day event. They're only
Yeah.
there for a few hours, so it isn't like they're tying up the whole parking lot all weekend, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I don't see an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either.
7
I
a.m.
think
to 4.
the most visibility we can give them, the better.
I think they're talking that back part. They just, like I said, I think they just goofed up their north, south, east, west map.
Yeah.
So you're probably right, Trustee Pecos, that probably is a copy of the back portion of the parking lot there.
Because if you look at where the grass area is next to mudslingers,
Yeah.
that would be facing west from those areas.
Correct, so you are correct.
Put it on the calendar.
Okay, so they originally did want that area, okay. Any other thoughts on that? Or if not? Is there any other thoughts or any questions on that?
No?
Nope.
Okay. We will table the resolution approving change order 2A-1 general water system improvements to be also included with two other resolutions to address what was stated earlier. So we'll table that. So move on to resolution approving trick or treating hours, 2 to 5 p.m.
Is there a reason why we're approving it in the town also? Do we have that jurisdiction?
And I
Yes.
do not.
Tom said it was the town as well.
I think I asked that last year and I was told the same thing. We always approve both.
It's the recreation program, right, which is both.
The resolution typically comes from my office. I'm the recreation director for both municipalities.
Yep.
I believe that's just the way that resolution's been written like that since you were doing this job.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Okay.
So I goofed it up.
Did this coincide with Dunkirk?
The last indication I had, yes, the closing was, I did speak to a councilman, they said they may be altering their start hour but that was gonna be coming up at their meeting. So it's either, Dunkirk's is either gonna be 3 to 5, he said that may change to 2 to 5, and of course, the mayor has that ability to cancel that event altogether. As I'm sure, Mayor Esser could, I would imagine too, depending on what's going on. I don't delve into
It
that.
coincides with the Casadega as well.
Great, thanks, Sam.
Trustees, in coincidence with the trick-or-treating hours, I had 3 individuals approach me to do something more for the community and the trick-or-treaters and the children, to hold like, I just spoke to Tom before the meeting here. We don't have the parade or the cider and donuts and so forth afterwards, and not really doing anything as a village for our trick-or-treaters this year. 3 people approached me to do like maybe a drive-through, like a bag of a little bit of goodies for the kids, possibly like we did with the water distribution at the DPW, have cars come through with their children and, distribute a bag of goodies for each child that they have in the car, and do that for a couple hours, possibly like 10 to 12 before that on Halloween morning. And they already have volunteers and a plan. They needed a budget and a time if the trustees would be, willing to endorse something like that.
No, I'm not quite in favor of doing something like that. I mean, if a church group wanted to have a trunk or treat, or a chamber wanted to have a trunk or treat, I could utilize doing something like that, but.
Well, I thought the chamber was doing something.
Yeah, we have a meeting tomorrow,
Yeah.
Wednesday, so I'll know more
I think
about
the
that.
chamber is planning on something in the village.
Okay, I was not made aware of
Yeah.
it, so I don't know.
I say let them.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on a drive-through handout.
Hey, Roger Chinzel, you're our liaison. If you keep us up to date then on what the chamber is doing then, please.
I will.
Thank you. A resolution to approve expenditure to refurbish engine 12. There are 2 different quotes for 2 different things, $21,333 and $2,150. Any questions, any comments on that?
You had a couple questions from last meeting, didn't you? Regarding what unit this was and. It's
No,
like third in line, was this the third
Yeah,
line
I
truck?
think the chief answered that. I guess my only concern is looking over the budget that Erlissa provided us through September, and especially looking at overtime with fire protection and ambulance being way over on overtime and very close on regular salary. It concerns me about spending money. Normally, I prefer to get things fixed before they really break, but I am concerned about the overtime costs in some departments, specifically the fire department.
I thought he mentioned that was supposedly from a previous year's budget, but that doesn't carry over. We didn't put this in this year's budget, did we? We didn't put this in this year's budget. And he claimed it was a carryover, but there is no carryover. If it was not utilized that previous year for such a thing, it would go back to the general fund. So.
Did we set it aside in a capital fund?
I have to ask Erlissa that. If it was, then it's there, but otherwise I don't remember it being there.
I'm sorry, what are you looking for in the capital fund?
Was there any set aside for engine repair, refurbish in the capital fund for this fire?
It was in last year's capital fund.
Right, and so, did it go back into general fund this year, or what did we do with it?
Well, my understanding is that in previous years, they've carried over whatever's left over in the capital fund.
And did we carry it over this year?
It is carried over,
Okay.
if that's the way it's to be continued to be done.
If or is it? I mean, there's no, that's.
She just said we carried it over.
So you're saying that money is still in a capital fund? Is that what you're saying,
Correct.
Alyssa?
Yes, yes.
So I'm looking at capital fund, we have fire equipment, extension, the extradition tools, rescue equipment, 6,000, personal protective gear, parking lot repairs, it says ladder truck costs.
What's engine 12?
That was the 20-year thing. I don't see in the capital,
Trustee Linden?
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
If the trustees remember, these were capital projects that were brought to your attention last year prior to COVID in March, and they were put on hold. One was the refurbishment of engine 12. The other one was the repair of the heating and air conditioning systems. And during the budget presentation that I asked that these be carried over into the next budget year, depending on how finances went, to be utilized when they could be.
But the question were they carried over?
and I don't see it carried over in here as in the budget, is what I'm saying, whether, and is there as Roger stated, is there the funding available at this time to do that within the department? I'm not saying, not saying it shouldn't be done, Ryan. What I'm saying is where's the funding gonna be from?
I guess that's a treasurer question, but in my conversations with Alyssa, that there was allocated in that capital reserve or that capital account fund for the fire department was both of those projects still.
It was still left over in the capital projects, and looking back at previous years, it wasn't necessarily put in the budget as approved budget, but it was tracked on the budget sheets that were from the previous treasurer that said carried over from the previous year.
But not into this year's budget. It wasn't. That's, unless I'm missing it. I'm looking at the budget right here.
No, it was not listed on the approved budget.
Correct. Meaning that we have to find a way to pay for it. Because, I mean, the budget, the approved budget is the approved budget. I don't know.
I believe that money is still allocated, as Alyssa said, in the capital projects line.
Did you want to look at the budget to see it?
And was never transferred back into the general
I
fund at the
know
end of the year.
what was there, but she's saying it wasn't listed on
It's
there.
not by the line, it's in the capital projects.
I know that.
Yeah.
I
That's what
was looking for something
telling
else.
Jim, yeah.
I'm looking at.
Perhaps, Alyssa, we could do some research about that, just verify that, and,
Yes, I will look into that.
That's your capital fund thing, and here's your fire department. Fire department. Capital fund.
Looks like a total of 57,500 total for local funds for fire department capital.
see, I'm not sure what she carries over into just the capital fund. I'd have to look at everything.
Brian, in one line under the capital lines for capital funds for the fire department, miscellaneous building repairs, 30,000. Was that the money set aside for the HVAC, or is that something different?
Right, that's 30,000 for miscellaneous building repairs, right?
I'm not sure if that was, what that is. I don't have the budget in front of me at the moment.
Well, I seem to recall transferring some money out of capital, a couple different accounts that was never used.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if any of those amounts includes this.
No.
No, you don't believe so?
I don't know for sure.
I do, trustee Pecos, I do remember, originally I had $50,000 for heating and air conditioning repairs. And, Mr. Sedota had taken out, half of that, because the quote that I had gotten last year was like 22,000. So there was 25 taken out of that and transferred elsewhere prior to his departure.
That one's been floating around too.
So perhaps we should verify that this funding is available, Urlissa, before we pass this resolution and put this also, table this one and put it on our Monday's meeting.
Okay, I will get the information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, that covers resolutions, new business, Drescher and Malecki request for Garwin Barker bylaws. I just have instructed, I had, or let's instruct the auditors to contact the library officials for whatever reason they needed that, so.
Sure.
That taken care of.
Are we having a difficult time getting that, Mayor?
The bylaws, yes, they were kind of balking on giving those books, but not thinking we didn't need them.
Why?
But we're using public money to help fund them, so I guess my thought would be that they would have to do that. But I instructed the auditors to contact the library officials to hire exactly what they needed. So they can get what they needed, or if not, they'll let us know.
I'd hold up any further payment until we got what we needed.
That's what I was looking for, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I will, Alyssa, when's the next time our auditors are in?
Our auditors they're in tomorrow again, and they do have the information to contact Barker Library.
Okay, so, whatever they need, they can contact them, and if they don't receive that, then they can let us know if you would instruct them to do that, okay?
Yes, I will do that.
New business, I would just like to schedule a special meeting for Monday, October 26th at 5:30 to take care of the tabled resolutions we did tonight and about 4 or 5 other ones that we need to go over and put on the agenda for that meeting as well. So hope everybody's available. Roughly.
Sorry, Mayor, you said 5:30?
Yes.
Okay.
So same time as we had our meeting tonight, a regular meeting is at 5:30. Is there anybody right now that knows for sure that they can't make it? So do I need to change that date to something different here?
No, we had a scheduled meeting with the volunteer fire department that night, but I could try to talk to them quickly, see if we can reschedule that time, maybe an hour earlier.
You want to make the meeting 6:30 then? I mean, it doesn't have to be at 5:30.
I'd
Do more.
rather do 5:30 so it gives us more time if we can bump up the fire
Yeah.
department one.
Okay, that's right, we did have, yep, you're absolutely correct. Okay, so let's keep it at 5:30 on the 26th. Just also today, the state eliminated the use of plastic bags ban in stores. Just to remind everybody out there for that. Does anybody else have any other new business?
Yes, everybody should have received a copy of the agreement for the emergency water supply with the Northern Chautauqua County Water District. We discussed it at the meeting 2 weeks ago. The one change which I brought up, I questioned, was why the amounts were, they were going to charge us 1.75 their rate, and we would charge them 1.75 our rate. I think it was just a misunderstanding. I think they thought that's how our agreement with Dunkirk was. That's if we're just supplementing. But in an emergency situation, we charge the same rate. So they were fine with making that. And basically, you know, once the water goes through their meters, it's their water. So basically, we are buying from the North Stock County Water District, not from Dunkirk. And they would be selling it to us at their rate.
I had a question on number 8, and I don't have it in front of me, but number 8 in the contract, read some language about that it made all other agreements null and void, that it took precedent on, you know, I just wanted some clarification about that. I think we do currently have a contract, one contract with Pomfret, and I didn't know if we had an agreement with Dunkirk through the Vineyard Drive connection. I mean, are we nullifying, what does that mean?
I don't
that
believe so,
number
because
8?
this one is with the county, the town, and the village. So it's referring to any other contracts with the county, town, and village.
I think it should clarify that then, because it says, I think what Eva Dawn is stating, and I question the same thing, is that there was, what it states is, this agreement contains the sole and entire agreement between the parties relating to the services provided hereunder, and shall supersede any and all other agreements between the parties. Any other statements or representations made by either party are void and have no force or effect. Well, that's pretty open. It's too open for me.
I'd just like some clarification, or that statement taken out.
Or just completely taken out, because,
Yeah.
yeah, the agreement, as it states, I mean, is what is described under this agreement. We have no other agreement with the county.
I think that's probably just pretty much boilerplate.
Yes.
It may be,
I
it may
figured
be,
that too.
but,
They might be willing just to take that out.
Right.
Because it does need to be a bit more specific. We do have agreements with other entities, including Dunkirk, the city of, and Pomfret, and I just think that to say that it supersedes all others just needs to be taken out.
Well, I mean, it starts off, it's made between the following parties, county, village, town. And then, so then that statement under 8 says this supersedes any contracts between the parties. They've already specified the 3 parties, so this is the only contract we have. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me it's pretty straightforward.
I think we should have a lawyer look at that.
It would be nice if we did.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
I would agree.
There is on number 3, there is a directive that says that the supply can only be turned on for delivery with the different parties, but it also includes concurrence with the mayor of the city of Dunkirk, which now that includes another party. So now you have the city involved with that. So that's I don't know if that has to be taken out, or if it's another portion of the agreement, because that's.
It's probably, I would guess if they're gonna start purchasing a larger amount of water, it might be in their contract that they have to notify Dunkirk.
Well, I mean.
It would seem,
Yeah, I
that
understand.
seems logical.
I understand the reasoning, but I'm not, what I'm saying is the contract here is between only the 3 parties, but there's a 4th party named in here, that we can't turn it on unless they concur. And it doesn't say that this is a contract between 4 parties. Also, the length of the term of the contract, I'd like to see actually increased to maybe a 10-year, and then from that point on, or something on that idea. The contract we have with the city of Dunkirk is a 30-year contract for that emergency use, or actually either regular supply or emergency use at the Vineyard Drive. I'd like to protect the village a little bit more than just have a 1 year. I don't necessarily have great confidence after those statements of putting pressure on the village to move completely into the water district. But anyhow.
I don't understand where you're coming from.
Well, I just don't have a whole lot, but I'd like to have a little more protection, and not just have a 1-year contract. It's a 1-year contract. Everybody could leave the contract with only 1 year. It does extend it from that, if everybody agrees. But I don't see a whole lot of protection for the village there.
Why would either party do away with an emergency supply of water?
No, I agree, but, well, because they may want to such as the town wanting to leave the, possibly, or being persuaded to leave the village for supply of water with somebody else, and then leaving us with a contract that may have to then purchase from someone else under a new agreement. So, because it's not, if, it'd be different if the lines were connected directly with the village's lines, but we're dealing with another party in between. So I like a little bit more protection on there. I mean, I'm just saying that, in my thoughts, is a little longer protection up front. And then that way you see how it goes and everybody stays good. I'm sure after 10 years it'll be great, and we just continue on, and we could then just, go year to year after that. But I just thought that it would be a good idea.
Could all the trustees convey their thoughts to our attorney? And I'm sure he'll be looking this over, and what his thoughts are with your thoughts, and let's move forward on that, so, okay?
Well, I did convey my thoughts in an email last week. I have not received a response. My concern is we need to act on this, and I know that it's going to be on our special meetings agenda. And so I think what I just brought up, what Jim just brought up, they really are pretty straightforward questions that could be answered fairly easy. And I'm wondering if someone should reach out to the attorney, Abdullah, with with the North County Water District, who created it, just for some clarification. Since our attorney seems to be sick and unavailable, and we're holding a meeting a week from today.
Right. There's a number of other issues I'd like to just go over. I mean, if you want to hear them,
Well, I think we should write them in an email.
I mean, because
I think they need to be written down.
Other thoughts on the other parts, as far as the cost.
Are we still speaking the contract between us and the North County Water District?
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about Trustee Linden?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to, make sure that the village is in good shape with this. I mean, if that's the direction they're going, so, we've got, if you want me to go on with it, I can, but, we got a section that, such as, the village contracts, that are pursuant to other agreements, to which, that's in number 2, to other agreements to which any of the parties are subject. Let's see, because which includes the contracts, which would be such as the village and town and the village and the city contracts. So we have to clarify which ones are going, is this subject to? Because we provide the water to the town. And so that means we'd be purchasing from the county and then selling to the town. And in the event of an emergency, depending on where it is, I don't, is the town gonna ask to pay a different price, or we are asking for a different price depending on where the water leak is? That stuff should be all clarified.
But that's
basically one price.
Right.
It doesn't specify where the break is. It could be out in the town, it could be in the village.
Right.
And, this says, subject to any external approvals required by law or pursuant to other agreements.
Right.
The district and village shall endeavor in an emergency to sell to each other upon request potable water. It doesn't say we necessarily will be able to, it says we can, we will.
Yeah.
I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill or a lake out of a pond. Maybe be more apropos. I don't have a problem with the 1-year agreement. I think when you get a 10, 20, 30-year agreement, that's when you're running the problems like Vineyard Drive, where the thing was in use for 7 or 8 years and it wasn't even active.
And there's also a portion that says that the costs provided, however, that the party receiving emergency water shall reimburse the town for any reasonable expenses incurred by the town.
I think that Supervisor Pecos clarified that in an email to all of us, when he said there would be no upcharge, that there wasn't anything that was going to, and that said it's a possibility. But I would agree. I don't want to belabor this. I think this is boilerplate. If we could clarify if it nullifies any other agreements we have And they've already addressed the amount, which was one of the concerns that we had, so that we can address this on Monday. Are we assuming that our attorney can do this if we send our concerns, Mayor? Will our attorney be able to address these by Monday?
I'm highly assuming that, yes.
Okay. Then I would encourage us to all send the concerns like you just stated, Jim, via email, CC all of us to it, address it to Dan, and let him have answers for us before we make the resolution on Monday.
Sounds like a very good idea. Thank you, Trustee Bancroft.
I guess that was just the point of our workshop, was to discuss this stuff, so I was wanting to discuss it.
Well, we don't have the attorney. We can
That's true.
discuss it all we want, but we don't have any answers.
That's true.
So
That is true. Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Barker Common Fountain Insurance Claim. It's been filed, Anne Marie?
Yes, I'm waiting to hear back from Trident. His name is Dave Clark, and it's in his hands.
Okay. Any discussion on that? We all said, I think we probably pretty much talked about that already here.
Right.
Madison Street Bridge LED lights. They just need to add the lights onto our account. So that might be a resolution here coming up next Monday. To add those 3 or 4, I think there's 4 LED lights to our account.
They look nice. I went through there last night.
yeah. Did everyone get the email that we got about the LED lights and the concerns regarding LED and its effect on the world?
I'm going to read that tonight, Trustee
Okay.
Bashaw.
Thank you.
Okay. Quote offered to the town of Pomfret. Town of Pomfret, this is our water and sewer negotiations. Does any of the team want to address that? Otherwise I can. So Jim or Trustee Fritz or Trustee Linden, would you like to address any of this?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, well, we've been back and forth, board, a number of times here. Where the town of Pomfret ended up was, their offer was 10% over the 480 amount that we charge our residents, or $5.28. And we were at still 25% over the 480, or $6 a thousand. We originally started at the 677, and they originally started at 480. They would prefer that all the contracts be at the same percentage rate. And we have a meeting here on Wednesday, October 21st at 6 p.m. to discuss this. So where we're at is they want to do 10%, and our offer to them was before 25% from the majority of the board.
Yeah, the offer was made per board, and, but they want all contracts changed. They want 10% on all contracts, total, including the one that is not out of date, and they also want the same for all the sewer.
Correct.
We're talking significant loss in revenue.
10% for sewer.
10% for sewer, 10% for all sewer, all water, all districts, all the way through.
And what do we need to, what are you looking for, Doug? Are you looking for an agreement? You're looking for?
I'm looking for another offer back to their 10%. I mean, do we want to stay at 25% that was originally offered, and that's it? Because at that time, that was something that was less than what was originally proposed by the committee of 677. So we upped that 677 down to $6 or 25%, 1.25 over our rate.
They state that our current rates are draconian, and I believe that their proposal is draconian. If anything is draconian, it's their proposal. They also thought that they wanted to stay below the North County rates of 677, but they wanted it below that, including their upcharge that they charge for their debt service. And their thoughts were that up to 10% would be reasonable for the village to do the same, because that's what theirs would be as an upcharge to keep them below. So they think that ours should be the same. Well, we have different debt service, so I don't know how that's going to work into the formula, but that was the statements.
So the majority of the board wish to continue at the 25% over the $4.80 or $4.80 per thousand. And would that be for both water and sewer, the 25%? Or is that just for water? Because, I guess we went into these negotiations and they wanted to negotiate both sewer and water rates. So,
It looks like the North County water rate is $5.77. That's what they charge?
The count, $6.77 a thousand.
Yeah.
That's what we're charging them. I'm saying North County water.
No, North County water rate is 677.
Not according to the notes I have from the meetings.
Yeah, they're 677, and
There's a $1 upcharge from the county.
$1.10. Yeah.
It's $1.10 now?
It's $1, where is it? Debt service $1, O&M 10 cents. But the 2020 rate is $4.67 from the city. You add $1.10, that's $5.77.
Either way, the town of Pomfret would like the 10% over the 480 or $5.28, and we were at the 25% over the 480 at $6. And just something the board, the percentage to 25% or somewhere in between for both water and sewer. And is it only for the contracts that are out of contract, out of date?
When is your next meeting? Sorry.
I could give you a quick rundown on how much loss of revenue you're going to have approximately if you go with just the water contracts as they're requesting. At 677, we'd be a revenue reduction of about 44,000 if on just the water. If you go with $6, the 125 times the rate, or $6, you're going to lose about 68,000. If you're going to on average, if you're going to go to what they're requesting, you're going to lose about $91,000. So.
And if they pull out and go with North County Water District, we're going to lose more than that.
You're going to lose if they can't walk away from the largest contract. The largest contract is the most substantial. So you're going to, if they walk away with the contracts that are out, you're not going to realize much of a difference in loss.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
There's a number of districts.
Yeah.
I know.
Plus, any future expansion, which they are planning to do, I have the map right here, which is a considerable amount of expansion. Why would they go to us? They're going to go with North County Water District.
The added expansion to the village puts an added burden of need for protection on us. I think it's going to be a huge expense. But that
expense we've put on them, but I think the other.
But we don't.
Well, but we do. I mean, we charge their water districts. They are responsible for putting their pipes in. I think that it's quite a bit to come off from the fact that they wanted the same rate as the village, which, by the way, that rate that's set includes profit that takes care of the water, that provides the water, that treats the water, that has emergency backup. And I think that coming off wanting the same rate and coming to 10% is, I think that's a decent 10% above what the village pays for water is a decent proposal.
We have a flat quarterly rate. Do they do that?
Yes. Like the first yeah, the first so many thousand, I can't remember what it is.
With
Is a
villages,
flat rate, yeah.
There's a flat rate,
Yeah.
$45, 20
Yeah.
for water, 25 for sewer. And then you pay $480 per thousand.
Right. They do the same. It correlates with,
Well, anyhow.
Well, guys, I hate to say this, but I mean, I'd like the consensus, but we don't have the complete board here.
Right.
right.
I would rather have the entire board make the consensus instead of me possibly breaking a tie and moving forward. I don't know how.
When is
board
your,
feels.
when is your next meeting with them?
Wednesday, the
Wednesday,
21st.
coming up Wednesday.
Yep, if you want us to reschedule that to maybe Wednesday, the 28th.
Well, I mean, we can have a resolution at Monday's meeting for the special meeting.
But that's past that'll be the 26th to be the special meeting, and we're meeting with them scheduled on the 21st.
Unless you want to delay that till the 28th, a week later. That way we can talk about it on the 26th.
Yep. Can you delay your next meeting till the 28th?
I will request
Besides, you all
that we
have
do
joint
that.
planning board meetings that night, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, on the 21st.
Well, delay it to the 27th then? I don't know, the day
What?
after our special meeting, of Tuesday the 27th?
Yeah, I see if they're available. Delay it till then. We can meet on Monday and,
Okay, hopefully we'll have the complete board here on the special meeting for Monday the 26th, and you guys can discuss this with the full board.
well, and I think Dan Gard ought to weigh in as well with contracts, the length
Okay.
of.
Yep. Okay, do that then. We'll try to, try to reschedule the meeting for Tuesday 27th instead of Wednesday 21st. Sounds good, thank you. Just, I have a couple of things here for old business, water emergency costs. After the last meeting, you had gotten a preliminary that was requested. You got it directly the next day afterwards, and I asked our list to give us an update today on the emergency water costs. They're in front of you here. I believe everybody got that email or so forth. So this is where we're at currently. We're at $29,206. We had got a refund from some water we returned to Walmart. And I'm not sure whether St. George Contracting is gonna issue a invoice for their charges. They haven't yet. So this is what we got to date. You received what we had immediately after the next meeting as requested. And this is where we are. So if there's any questions or any comments, that goes down.
Thank you for the information.
Is there any other, actually I got one other thing here, park benches, the cost to have people buy the plaques. Did the board ever decide on that? The engineer architects gave the board some suggested prices on what they should charge in order to do like a fundraiser for possibly the fountains. And I just wondered where the board is at right now, what charges you'd like to charge somebody to actually put a plaque on a bench and buy that bench.
No, I don't think we came up with I know we discussed it, but we didn't come up with any kind of price structure.
Is everybody familiar or aware with what I was speaking of? They sent us an email. I don't have it directly in front of me now, but I can't find it.
You talking
They did have some suggestions.
You talking the ones you're gonna refurbish?
Either just to put a plaque on a bench and have that,
Like a memory bench.
memory bench.
I think you gave us the cost from a local company that would make the plaques. Is that what you gave us?
Yes, there was a local cost to make the plaques, and then there was a suggestion by the architect engineering firm of possibly, depending on the size of the bench, what you might want to charge for that to happen.
Okay. We'll wait for Kara on Monday and we'll kind of go over that too.
I guess my question is, are we going to refurbish them and should we charge for that? Or are we just gonna put a plaque on an old looking bench?
No, it's the benches that have out here.
It's
We
the
have
ones that are out here,
additional,
right?
yeah, we have additional benches that could be used as memory benches.
Okay.
And the price of that plaque would be that to put on the current benches that are in the park now. Now, the benches that are at surplus benches that are over at the DPW, we discussed auctioning those off and using that funds towards the fountain also. But we haven't come up with an idea, or I did, part of my report tonight is the auction service. So if you wanted to include those benches in our new auction program and use those funds towards refurbishing of the fountains, that's completely up to what you guys want to do. But as what Doug's talking about, I think it's the memory plaques. We have additional seating because of the new benches that we have allowed to, for people to purchase for memory.
Thank you, Trustee Fritz.
Well, again, we try to use this as a fundraiser. It's a local company that we're going to be utilizing, so why don't you review the email and we'll talk to Kara and we'll go over it again.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other old business?
Yeah, I just had that one thing which was just brought up regarding the auction international service. I finally got some information today, as a matter of fact, that I can forward to Anne Marie that needs to fill out some applications for us to utilize the Auction International platform to sell our surplus products. It's very simple, very minimal process. The fee structure is very small. This is used by many municipalities throughout the state. I think it's a great opportunity for us to liquidate some of our surplus products. And I'll get that out to Anne Marie probably tonight or tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Trustee.
I did have a question. Tony's not on tonight. Mayor, do you have any more information on how the flushing's going in the village, the flushing of the pipes and the flushing of the hydrants?
Yeah, they've been sporadically doing areas here and there, and what they plan on doing here very shortly is start at the water treatment plant like they used to years ago, and flush down from there and work their way all the way down to the city line. What's been doing right now is any kind of problem areas, they've been flushing and trying to take care of those problem areas that we have currently. But they have been doing that recently, and like I said, they will continue with the old style way of flushing, starting from the closest point to the water treatment plant, working our way that way, flushing everything out.
So you don't have any updates on what's been flushed so far or what areas have been flushed?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I can get that information for you, and I can have Tony or Jen Merrill email everybody the locations.
I just had a couple of residents that have recently seen some brown water coming through their system in the past couple of days. They were curious to see if that was part of the flushing process or if there is an issue happening in their water system.
Okay. I'm not sure, but if you could instruct those residents to contact the street department, and the street department can try to address that with some flushing in their area.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
We had I believe three water main breaks in the vicinity of the college around the time that I understand they were flushing their hydrants. So I guess my question is, do we have an agreement with the college where they flush their own hydrants? Or not? And if not, then why are they doing it and why not our employees? Or at least have one of ours on site to make sure it's done correctly.
I think Tony asked the college to let them know before they do it. I'm aware of that much. I don't know that they're doing that though.
But even then, if it's not done correctly, you can cause a water main break. And it just seems coincidental that we had 3 breaks around the time that they were doing it.
You're correct. I would try to answer that, Trustee Pecos, but I think Tony would be able to answer that more correctly. And he's on vacation until tomorrow, so if you want to give him a call tomorrow and find out yourself, then we can bring it to the entire board's attention afterwards.
And then I was just kind of curious as to, I thought we'd have more resolutions on the agenda tonight. I thought we'd have finally the Class D water license stipend. We've been talking about that for months. The energy study, and also for M&T Bank.
And also the library.
And also the library.
And I would encourage all the trustees to contact our attorney and encourage him to make sure that these resolutions get on for next Monday's meeting. I do agree with you, yes, there was supposed to be a bunch more, you're absolutely correct. Are there any other old business?
We talked about the possibility of another interconnect with Dunkirk at the last meeting. It was discussed at the North County Water District meeting. And actually, I brought up that Scott Marsh had suggested that maybe we look at either Brigham Road or Willow Road, if that be a easier way to bring it down Temple from Willow and connect right on the end of that line, because there's a 16-inch main on Willow, or do the same thing at Brigham and connect to the line on Brigham. There's a 20-inch main on Brigham. Or the plan, and actually their plan has changed for Central. Originally, I guess they were talking a 20-inch line with a pump station in Fredonia. Now they're talking about putting the pump station, and rather than trying to pull the water to Fredonia, put the pump station and push it, and then you can get by with a 12-inch line.
Well, haven't the lines already been put under the thruway
No,
at Central?
that was
They
never
have
done.
not. Okay.
No. They had the permission because they said the thruway was actually working on that bridge at the time, so they had permission to do it, but it never got done.
Okay.
No matter which way we do it, if we do it, Willow, Brigham, or Central, they have to go under the thruway, so it's so, I don't know, Doug, with the county or what the procedure is as far as looking at cost estimates and for all three and then figuring out which is the best way, but seemed to be the feeling that either one of those would be a viable solution for us.
You're absolutely correct, and I think at the time, the only thing that I had to think that was ever engineered was up to Central Avenue, and it was either the 20-inch line going to our 12, or the 20-inch line from Dunkirk going to a 24 from our, making ours 24 all the way up. But because my thought is on this, if the Vineyard Drive pumping station, when that gets up and running, that's a 12-inch supply there. If we go with a 12-inch supply here, and eventually if we ever need emergency supply from the two connections on Route 20, there would be enough redundancy there to supply the entire village. So like you said, Trustee Pecos, any of those three scenarios would probably work. And with that being a 12-inch and the 12-inch that we currently have, I think that would be a very good start on redundancy of water. Correct. But we will continue. We just started looking into this here, and we will continue to work diligently moving forward, trying to make this occur as soon as possible. And we will, once I get more information and the three different scenarios possibly, that report will be furnished to the board for review and suggestions and possible thought on moving forward. Okay, is there any other old business? Okay, what do you say we stand up and we'll pledge allegiance? I'd like to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Which stands
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 19th day of October 2020 at 7:25 p.m. via video conferencing in Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of October 5th, 2020. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
This portion of the meeting is for public commentary. Any member of the public wishing to comment shall submit an email to Fredonia Village Clerk at netsync.net no later than 4 p.m. Monday, October 19th, 2020. Such comments will be read during the public portion of the video conference. I will ask that the comments refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. I did receive one email. I will read it. Dear Mayor Essick and trustees, below is a letter to Mayor Landis and the Board of Trustees that the two of us sent in March of 2019. Given that the Fredonia Village Board of Trustees agenda for Monday, October 19th, 2020 has an agenda item related to the LED lights on the Madison Street Bridge, we are resending this letter in the hopes that it can be read and considered at the meeting. We are both members of the faculty of the State University of New York at Fredonia with specialties in astronomy and physics. We are responsible for the observatory there, and we are both residents of Fredonia. We are concerned about possible negative effects of the proposed LED streetlight conversion project. The observatory is already rather severely impacted by the brightness of the local night sky. The telescope and associated astronomy outreach draws 500 to 1,000 visitors per year, many of them from surrounding communities. It also has an important educational and research function. If the village is not careful to protect the night sky, we will do significant harm to this resource, not to mention the other detrimental impacts on human and animal health that are well documented. We fear that the power company may be more focused on efficiency and not on the problems that the LEDs have brought to other communities. For instance, even though the city of Los Angeles reduced the strength of illumination in its LED conversion, skies became more than twice as bright as a result. On March 8, 2019, Observer article quotes the power company representative as saying these LEDs are very dark sky friendly. Unfortunately, that is not often the case, so the exact bulbs and fixtures need to be chosen carefully. Many municipalities have chosen to increase lighting levels instead of just going for cost savings. This aggravates the light pollution problem for plants and wildlife, as well as increasing skylight, and is annoying for people as well. Although the fixtures are generally better at projecting the light downward, due to the color difference, white LEDs are about 3 times worse for astronomy than the high pressure sodium currently used, in the spectrum of which can be largely removed with the filter. Low pressure sodium is the best for astronomy as it is monochromatic. White light LEDs can actually make the light pollution problem much worse, since the simplest white light LEDs contain significant amounts of light at the blue end of the spectrum. It is well documented that nighttime blue light is harmful to human and animal health, increases glare, increasing the risk of traffic accidents, and leads to increased levels of light pollution even if shielded light fixtures are used. The light might initially be directed down, but it reflects off the ground back up into the sky. The AMA recommends color temperatures below 3,000 kilowatts, warm white. Unfortunately, even these have harmful levels of blue light, so should be provided with a blue blocking filter, also known as FLED. Another alternative is using amber LEDs such as PC amber, phosphor converted amber, which have spectra similar to high pressure sodium they will be replacing. This would have at least the least impact, and as the public is already used to the amber lighting, perhaps the least objectionable research studies. So, I'm sorry, least objectionable from an aesthetic standpoint. Although some people imagine the better color rendition of white light might improve safety, that has not been borne out in research studies. The International Dark Sky Association and City of Flagstaff, Arizona, link is above, have some good resources. We would be happy to be of any help if we can. Sincerely, Michael Grady, PhD, Michael Dunham, PhD, Department of Physics, State University of New York at Fredonia. That is the only email I received.
Thank you. I didn't know if any of the trustees want to comment on that or not.
See you, Chuck. When we get into the energy survey, we'll have to tap that resource.
Thank you. That being the only public comment, and there's no more, I will close the public portion of this meeting. My mayor's report, I'll be pretty brief here. I just want to kind of report on our projects. Like Travis said, the park project Park Common project is nearing completion. The Opera House project, after a short delay, is full and running, and that's going well. The water treatment plant and wastewater treatment plant projects, those are going as well. I started a blog on our new web page. Thanks to Trustee Britz for getting that going here. It's kind of a blog to give our public an up-to-date information on what's going on in our village. I try to keep it up to date every day if I can. That way, we can keep our public informed. And our public on the new website, we have all our emails, and it has my phone number there, my office phone number. So if the public has any questions that needs to be addressed to any of the trustees or the mayor here, myself, or any of the department heads, that information is on our website. So please review that. Also on our website is a link to the YouTube videos of all our meetings and events. So if there's any questions on a meeting or an event that you'd like to see, there's a link to that to our YouTube. Also, our water condition. After the filter beds have been replaced, our water condition is back to our normal, really great conditions of turbidity levels. They're really great right now. So thanks to all the hard work that everybody involved in that process. And thanks, Chris and your crew, for continuing to provide us with safe, drinkable, and usable water. That is all I have for my report. Trustee Linden, do you have a report?
No other report at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Britz?
Oh, let me grab my notes. Just a couple of quick things. We've already touched base regarding the water negotiations that are on the 21st. We're looking to possibly reschedule that with the town of Pomfret. On October 26th, we were supposed to have a meeting with the volunteer fire department. Looks like we can change that to 3:30 if the mayor's available on that day. You guys want to check your schedules, Roger? 3:30 on the 26th. The other thing I'd like to do is welcome a new business into our town. Express Personnel Employment at 264 East Main in Fredonia. Andrew Brown, the owner of this new facility that's opening up, is an extension of a personnel employment agency. We welcome them to our village. We're delighted to have a ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce just recently, and look forward to having another new business in our village. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee Pecos?
Actually, Travis covered my Opera House update, and I've already talked about the North County Water District, so I have nothing else.
Trustee Pecos. Trustee Batshaw?
Just a reminder that there is a joint planning board meeting on Wednesday, the 21st at 6 p.m. To discuss going out for developing an RFP for proposals for a comprehensive plan. So that is Wednesday, the 21st at 6 p.m. at the Town of Pomfret Town Hall. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Trustee Batshaw. Alyssa, our treasurer, she provided us with a report, and if she'd like to comment anything on that, she also provided everybody here with our sales tax distribution for this quarter. Would you like to comment, Alyssa, please?
So our budget that is actually looking pretty decent. There are a few lines that I'm keeping an eye on. I know we're over on workers' comp and the fire overtime. We're getting kind of close on the parks personnel, which I understand was mostly used during the summer and then will be used again in the spring, but I'm keeping an eye on that. Sewage overtime, we didn't budget anything for that, and that's just over $3,000. So we're gonna have to do a budget transfer to get that back to where we need it to be.
Alyssa, is that overtime or is that premium pay?
The way it comes to me is overtime.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll verify, but that's the way it comes to me is as overtime.
Okay.
Sewage treatment, you're talking sewage treatment personnel?
Yes, the overtime line.
There's nothing.
We had nothing budgeted in
Yeah,
there.
and they're at 40% on regular personnel.
They told us that they
Right.
never use any. Yeah.
That was on the recommendation, yeah.
All right. Oh, okay.
Mayor,
Our sales tax is at 4%. According to the report that I just received from the county, our sales tax percent is at 4% over what it was last year, which I actually think is good in considering the situation that we've been in with COVID, so we should be getting that payment next month, so we'll know exactly where we stand there.
That's good.
Does somebody have a question there, one of the trustees?
I was just curious, have you had any discussions, or if not, I think you ought to with the department supervisors that have budget lines that are running over?
I have made sure that they do know either we're over or we're getting close, so that we're watching those. The purchase requisitions have been working out very well because I keep a spreadsheet so that I know what's going to be coming up. So we're anticipating so that we're still within that budget line. So that's been helpful versus just getting the invoice and saying, oh, well, we're already over.
Right, and it concerns me because towards the end of last year's budget, we were doing all these transfers to cover lines that were overdrawn, and to me, that shouldn't happen. If the supervisor should be told that you're getting close, and if the spending continues, and there ought to either be cuts or something. We shouldn't just be, they shouldn't just be assuming, well, I'll take it out of somebody else's budget then.
Right. And I have been keeping them in the loop with what exactly they're at. And every department gets a report as to where they're at with their budget lines every month. Just like you guys get the full report, they get their department report.
Thank you, Alyssa.
You're
And Alyssa, just for a point of clarification, the recreation budget that we've been going through without a program has to do with the upkeep and the groundskeep, correct?
correct, yes.
And we're over or close to being over on that?
We are close to being over. We're about 84.8%.
For maintaining the,
No, that's parks.
Oh,
comes
yep,
out of
parks.
recreation.
I'm sorry. It's not recreation, it's parks.
Okay,
Recreation
and
is
is
our
that what's
recreation
over?
That's what's getting close. It's not over, but it's
Okay.
at 84%.
Okay.
Parks, and then Rush Joy Park too is 51.
Right.
Thank you.
And all these budgets are, let's say we should be at what, like 40-some% right now, or where are we at?
33. We should
33.
be at about
Should- yeah.
33.
Because it's the third or 4 months in.
Right.
I guess, you know, that's, my concern is somebody doesn't, oh, look, Tom's got 56,000 sitting there. Well, let's take that. I mean, that should not be the mindset.
That's right.
Why are they saying other departments? They should just
I don't know
be
if they-
concentrating on their own.
Yeah, well, I would agree, but.
But it is public knowledge, so, yeah.
Right. Any other questions for Alyssa?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Ann, can you read the reports, please?
First report is the Fredonia Justice Court report for the month of September 2020. Total number of cases closed, 99. Vehicle and traffic, 53. Criminal, 34. Village ordinances, 11. ABC's laws, 1. Total fines and surcharges, $6,007. Parking ticket fines, $694 for a total of $6,701. The Fredonia Police Department report for the month of September, incidents reported 684. Fredonia Central School calls for service 2, accidents 16, arrests reported 23, vehicle and traffic 3, domestic incidents 14, parking tickets 41. Fredonia Fire Department report for the month of August 2020, total fire 3, rescue and EMS 95, service calls 7, good intent calls 18, false alarm and false call 13, severe weather and natural disaster 3 for a total of 139. Fire Department report for the month of September 2020. Total fire 3, rescue and EMS 103, hazardous conditions no fire 3, service call 2, good intent calls 10, false alarm and false call 26, for a grand total of 147. Code enforcement month end report for August 2020, building permits issued 40, building inspections 23, certificates of occupancy 30, certificates of compliance 13, violations found 12, violations satisfied 12, fees collected for permit $4,303, rental fees $3,280, certificates of compliance fees $775, zoning variance is $100, total fees collected $7,783. For rental renewals 39, junk car property and maintenance found 3 junk cars, 16 property maintenance inspections. They removed 14 property maintenance and removed 3 junk cars. 40 permits generated. The estimated cost of work for the month of August was $841,943. And that's all for reports.
Thank you. You read correspondence, please.
Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department to remove the name of Matthew Lipsitz from the active role of the fire police effective immediately.
Be it resolved that the name of Matthew Lipsitz is hereby removed from the active role of the fire police effective immediately.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Further discussion. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Carried.
Correspondence was received from Tanny McCool, Administrator of the WCA Home, Mayor Douglas Essick, and Village of Fredonia Board of Trustees. I am rarely moved to formally voice my thoughts in public forum. This exception has been made because I must bring light to the radically different experience that I have been having with the Fredonia Fire Department under the leadership of Chief Ryan Walker. I have been at the WCA Home since 1995, in the administrator position since 2005. And I have never enjoyed such a collaborative and supportive relationship with the Fredonia Fire Department as I have in the last couple of years. As a small business tasked with ensuring the safety of elderly residents, our communication with the fire department is frequent and crucial. In the past, I have felt like an annoyance when needed to utilize their services. I have truly enjoyed working with Ryan Walker and the men and women under his command. Regardless of whatever political or budgetary concerns there may be with a full-time paid fire chief, Ryan Walker does an outstanding job and has made a huge difference in my comfort level in protecting my residents and staff. Thank you for your time and your service to our community. Sincerely, Tammy McCool, Administrator.
Chief Walker, thank you, and please thank your workers for their professionalism and their dedicated work to our community. I know we all appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a letter of resignation received from Fredonia Policeman Brian Park, making his last official day Sunday, October 4th, 2020. Would you like me to read that letter or?
Please.
Yes.
Chief, I was offered a full-time position today at Jamestown Police Department and they made my start date Monday the 5th. I apologize for the short notice as I cannot give a final 2 weeks notice. Pending your approval, I ask that Sunday the 4th be my final day. Which makes me unable to work my scheduled 8 to 4 shift on the 9th. I appreciate the opportunity you gave me by hiring me for a part-time job, as I believe I had gained valuable experience for my career. I left all my issued equipment in my locker and my keys in my mailbox. If there are any issues for this request, please call. Stay safe, Brian Park. I received a letter of resignation from Aaron Refugito, making his last official day Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Chief Maslock, as of today, October 2nd, 2020, I am provisionally hired full-time with the Westfield Police Department. I'm expected to start my 7 to 3 shifts on October 10th, 2020. I won't be able to work that day at the Fredonia Police Department or any days after that, as this is my official resignation letter. from the Fredonia Police Department. Thank you for all the knowledge you've given me along with everyone else at the department. It's been a great year and a half. I have had fun while working, and I feel as if I have learned a good amount in my time there. I know you were not the one to hire me, but between working with you and a sergeant and working for you as my chief, you've done a very fine job, and I'm proud to have worked for you and the agency. I'll miss you all. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Aaron Refugito. Those are the reports.
Thank you.
Not in time for the last meeting.
Oh.
Okay, resolutions, please.
Whereas the Barker Common West Fountain requires repairs to the top of the fountain, and whereas William G. Koch, 248 Wardman Road, Kenmore, New York, has offered to provide the design and repair of this project at a cost of $34,998. And whereas Mr. Koch needs 1/3 or $11,666 to start the project, 1/3 or $11,666 approved to cut model, and the final third or $11,666 for a completed sculpture. Therefore, be resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to enter an agreement with William G. Koch in an amount not to exceed $34,998.
Second the motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Thank you for your work. You are getting this done. I approve. Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Actually, a big thank you goes to Bob Booth, too, for actually heading this up, and I vote yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved, the Village Hall offices will be closed the day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 27th, 2020, and that each village employee will use a personal or vacation day.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract number 533 through 546 is hereby approved and directed paid.
I'll second that.
And a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the request from Marv Burling and Tina Rousa and Ron Naska, events coordinators for the Empty Bowls fundraising event, to use the southwest corner of the east parking lot, see map provided, Saturday, November 14th, 2020, for the annual Empty Bowls event is hereby approved, and that a certificate of insurance be provided to the village, naming the village as an additional insured in the amount of at least $1 million. And be it further resolved that the event be subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department. And be it further resolved that the request of the Empty Bowls event coordinators to A, set up event starting at 7 a.m., vacating the space by 4 p.m. that same day. B, to have no food at the event and keeping in line with the COVID-19 social distancing protocols and use of masks. And C, event coordinators will be responsible for cleanup when the event is over, is hereby approved.
I'll second that.
And a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Do we read this one to table,
It's tabled?
or do we not bother with it?
I don't think we do.
You don't need to.
Okay, then.
That'll be tabled.
Yep.
Whereas the hours for trick-or-treating are hereby approved from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. on Saturday, October 31st, 2020, for the Village of Fredonia and Town of Pomfret, and a curfew be set for 5 p.m., and that parents be encouraged to tell their children not to trick-or-treat beyond 5 p.m. Residents are hereby urged to turn porch lights off at 5 p.m., thus signaling further trick-or-treating will not be accepted.
Second the motion?
Been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Here, just a kind of a addition to this here. I mean, our residents, if it's up to you to let your kids trick or treat, and if you choose to give treats to trick-or-treaters, that's your choice as well. Just use your own best judgment and follow all the guidelines you need to follow. The next resolution is also tabled for tonight. all the resolutions we have. Is there anything good for the order?
We don't need a resolution to call a special meeting, right, Mayor?
No, we don't. I can call a
Okay.
special meeting or by the request of two trustees, so.
Okay.
But you're calling, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
If there's no other further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second, trustee Linden,
Aye.
trustee Brits.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos,
Yes.
trustee Batshaw.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.